Hello friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Em and welcome to today's video. I feel like I haven't sat down and done just like a regular sit down video in a really long time. Also, yes, I have a autumn pillow on my bed already. I don't want to talk about it. It is like mid-ish July, probably closer to the end of July, if I'm being honest. I've been putting off filming this video for a while. And I don't know why. I also feel like I'm coming down with a cold, which is just rude because you're not supposed to get sick in the summer. I know that's not how diseases work, but just like go with me on this. I'm not supposed to get sick in the summer, okay? It's just a rule. No illness. And the fact that I feel like I'm getting a cold is making me real mad and making me a little salty, so it might lend itself to this video. Well, but we'll see. You already know what this is because you clicked on the title or the thumbnail, or however YouTube videos work. Have I ever used the internet before? Who's to say? But we're going to talk about all the books that I have DNF'd so far this year, which actually isn't as many as I thought it was going to be, which I don't know. I don't know if that means I'm just not tracking every book that I DNF. Like if I haven't crossed 50 pages, I don't usually count it because 50 pages is usually like my bare minimum. And if I can't even get to 50 pages, then it's really not worth indicating in any way, shape, or form that I'm attempting to read the book. Or yeah, I don't know. I do have 4 books paused on Storygraph because Storygraph introduced that you could pause a book now. So I've paused 4 things. Do those count as DNFs? Who's to say? Maybe we'll talk about those 4 pauses at the end. That could be fun. So anyways, let's get into the books that I have DNF'd. I'm just going in chronological order. We're starting in January and we're going to work our way up, though I haven't DNF'd anything in July yet. I have paused something, but I haven't DNF'd anything yet, which is good. So I DNF'd Across the Dark Seas by Claire Sager. This is like a .05. This is a novella that is a prequel to a romantasy series that Claire Sager has, and I am still interested in the romantasy series, but I got about 40% of the way into this before I realized that this was just the setup for the first book. This was just showing you all the things that were going to happen to the heroine before she got in the situation that allows her to meet the love interest for the romantasy series. And I was 40% in, I was having a fine time, and it was just that call of I could push through and finish the last 60% and give the book a 3.5 star, or I could DNF and just read the actual series eventually. And I chose to DNF and to read something that I liked more, and I do not regret that. I have not gone back and read the actual series yet. I'm trying to decide where I want to start with Claire Sager because I think she has a couple of series that I could start with. So I'm not quite sure where I want to go, if I actually want to read or start with the Beneath Black Sails. I was interested in this one specifically because it's pirates, and I do love pirates, and I don't know that I've really read a pirate romantasy yet, but I'm interested in going down that road. The next book I DNF'd is Infinity Gate by M.R. Carey. I owned this for a while, well over a year. I bought it during Indie Bookstore Day. One of my friends who's a bookseller at the time hand sold it to me. And I like M.R. Carey's writing. I read The Girl with All the Gifts, absolutely loved it at the time I read it. That was a number of years ago. And this is a sci-fi book. I did not get very far into this one. I don't know if I got to my 50 pages. I might have bounced before the 50 pages because this is a science fiction that involves multiple dimensions or alternate dimensions. And the thing is that M.R. Carey has figured the science out, or like in this world, like has figured out how the science would work for alternate dimensions. And he really wants you, the reader, to know that he has figured the science out. And I am not the type of reader who cares if the science or the magic makes sense. I want the authors to follow whatever rules that they've established for their magic system or for the science in the world that they've built, but I don't need to understand it. I just need them to understand it and then follow those rules, but I do not care if I understand it or not. And there was so much explaining of the science for these alternate dimensions, and it made it such a slog to get through the beginning, and maybe it like would have been a great payoff if I had continued, but the beginning was such a slog that it was not worth it for me to continue, and I was starting to really hate reading with this book. And so that's my sign. When I would rather do anything else rather than read the book, it's my sign to move on. Next up is Valor by John Gwynne. This is book 2 in the Faithful and the Fallen series. I read Malice in 2024, like at the beginning of 2024, and I gave it 3 stars, 3.5 stars. It was fine. It's not my favorite. It's very like white bro fantasy, which is fine. That's a fine genre to be into. It is not. Look, I spent majority of my youth and my 20s reading white bro fantasy, and it was great then. I am ready for something different now. I am ready to read other types of fantasy, and I did at the time that I read Malice was like, I don't think this series is for me and I shouldn't continue with it. And then Becca and the Books announced that she was going to do this series for her catch-up book club. And I love Becca's content, and I've wanted to do catch-up book club for a long time, but she was doing Joe Abercrombie, who I definitely know is not for me. I have no place in a grimdark fantasy world, and grimdark fantasy has no place with me. I was like, I'll give this series another chance. I did not reread Malice because I like myself. And then I jumped in with Valor, and I think I got maybe like 300 pages. These books are just so long. They're so long, and I don't care about any of these people. I cared about two, and there's so many points of view, arguably too many points of view. That was my critique for Malice. I thought there were too many people, and it's just too much to keep track of. I don't care about enough of them, and there's just so much going on, and my investment was not as high as it needed to be to have a good time. Also, they're just too long. They're just too long. And this goes back to my debatably hot take that I don't think books need to be over 400 pages. I think any book over 500 pages can be edited down. I think authors and I don't think editors are doing as much editing as they used to. I don't know why, but I don't think they are, or I don't think they're being allowed to, because I think editors want to edit and they're not being allowed to. And I think authors generally are too precious with their words and their characters, and we can edit that shit down. Moving on to The Baby Dragon Cafe by A.T. Qureshi? Question mark. This is I don't know how to describe this. This disguised itself as something that it's not. I thought this was going to be a really cozy little romance with baby dragons. And what this started out as basically a contemporary romance with dragons. Our main character, it has this baby dragon cafe, which is basically like a dog cafe or cat cafe where people can bring their baby dragons with them while they get a coffee, have a pastry. But there's like a lot of liability in owning a baby dragon cafe that our main character did not anticipate. And so she has a lot more repair costs for the damage that these chaotic baby dragons cause than she had anticipated. So she's kind of in financial trouble. And then this guy has inherited a baby dragon from his brother who just passed away. And he strikes a deal with the heroine that he will help pay for repairs to her cafe if she helps him train the baby dragon. But this was just not what I wanted at all. I wanted more magic. I wanted it to be more interesting. I also did not get to my 50 pages in this one because I could just tell early on. I didn't really care for the writing style. I didn't like the heroine very much. She felt a little, this is kind of mean, she felt a little bit like a dummy. And I don't want to read about a dummy. And I didn't care. I just didn't care. It was too stressful from the jump. And I don't read stressful romances. Super angsty, really emotional, really stressful romances. I don't read them because I don't want to feel that way when I'm reading a romance. I only want rom-coms. Please and thank you. All right, I feel a little bit bad about this one. I did DNF Hell Followed With Us by Andrew Joseph White. But I maintain, I think Andrew Joseph White is a really good author. I liked his writing. I thought the world that he created was really interesting. This is YA queer horror where religious trauma is a really big element in it. And our main character, he is trans and he is trying to run away from this religious cult. Normally I really like books with religious trauma, or horror books specifically with religious trauma, but there was just something in this that it wasn't quite aligned. I wanted more American Rapture by C.J. Lead, and that's not what this is, which makes sense because this is YA and American Rapture is adult, but it just wasn't quite the right mix for me. But I'm gonna try Andrew Joseph White again. Queer horror can be a real hard subgenre for me. I want to love it, and usually I do love it by the end. I really love the endings of a lot of queer horrors, but getting there and getting through the transphobia and the dead naming and all the things that just come around with queer horror is really hard. It's really hard for me to get through a lot of them, even knowing I'm going to find the ending really cathartic and really satisfying. And for this one, I just felt like I could pass this book on to somebody who is really going to love it. I didn't need to like try to prove anything by finishing it. And then I also DNF'd The Unrelenting Earth by Kritika H. Rao. This is book 2 in the Rages trilogy. I had an okay time with book 1, and I thought her writing was really good, and I thought her world building was really creative and interesting, and because the first book is her debut, I have definitely wanted to continue on with her writing because I can see getting a 5-star from her eventually because of how I felt about her characters and the world building. But this world is pretty messy, and she has very messy main characters. And when I finally got around to starting book 2, I'd forgotten pretty much everything that happened in book 1. I didn't care enough to reread book 1. I couldn't really find any spoilery reviews, which like I think we need to bring back. I think we've gotten so afraid of spoiling things that now nobody does spoiler stuff, and I need the spoiler stuff. I need a spoiler-filled vlog for book 1 or 2 in a series so that I can pick up the next book without having to reread the whole series when the next book comes out. Like, this is a valuable service and I need us to back away from being so afraid to spoil things just a little bit, because I need the spoiler stuff. But coming back to this book, I think I got it 60 pages in, and I realized that I don't care enough about this world to keep going with the story. And also, she did a thing that I won't say, ironically, because it spoils what happens in book 1, and it spoils a lot of stuff for book 1. But she did a thing at the end of book 1, and for some reason, that I didn't really like, and for some reason I thought it wouldn't be as big of a part of book 2, which was silly and stupid because of course it's going to be a big part of book 2, and it's a thing that I don't like to read about. It's just not for me. It's not my cup of tea. I just don't enjoy it. So that was also a big component in DNFing this book. But so I don't think I'm going to finish the series. No. I'm going to affirm, I am not going to be finishing the series. I am DNFing it, but I will read more from Kritika H. Rao outside of this series. Alright, this one might be kind of controversial. I DNF'd Careless People by Sarah Wynne Williams. I think this is great. This is stuff that needs to be out there. Like, obviously Zuckerberg is not a good person. We all know this. And Facebook has done some really shady things. This all needs to be out in the open. I think this could have been an article. I don't think it needed to be an entire book, which feels real mean because it is somebody's memoir, and I understand that, and I'm so sorry, but I just don't feel like it needed to be a whole, how many pages is it? Oh, I tried to listen to it on audio. 13 hours? No, it doesn't need to be 13 hours. And I ultimately decided I just didn't want to spend 13 hours listening to all these horrible things that happened to Sarah Wynne Williams because of her job. And then the last DNF for this year is Breeze Spells and Bridegrooms by Sarah Wallace and S. Ho Callahan. Look, we know how I feel about Sarah Wallace. I love their writing so much. I love their books so much. However, I do not love S. O. Callahan. I've tried S. O. Callahan before, and it was fine. Not my favorite, but I thought they're teaming up with Sarah Wallace. Maybe Sarah Wallace will carry me through. And it did not. It did not. This is kind of like Sarah Wallace's books, where it is a kind of a historical England with the same conventions and social rules, but this is a queer norm world, and there is light magic, and it's supposed to be romance, but they did the thing that I hate, where I don't remember anyone's name, but this guy in the blue was a big old bully and was mean for no reason, like really mean for no reason to the other main character. And when one of the love interests is just downright mean, like there's a difference between prickly or cranky and downright mean for no reason. He made fun of the other character. He like gossiped about him behind his back to his friends. He's just mean. He's just mean. And I'm never going to buy a romance where one of the people is mean for no reason. I don't care I don't care. I don't care whatever like contrived in their head validation there is for being mean. If you're just mean, that's why I don't read bully romances. I don't want to read about two people falling in love when one of those people is mean. I want my romances to be soft and sweet, and for one of the people to be a simp from the get-go. I do not have the time, space, or energy for a romance where somebody is mean. All right, so those are all my DNFs for this year. I don't know why it's taken me 18 minutes to talk about so few books. But let's talk about my pauses, if I can find them in Storygraph. I'm not sure where Storygraph hides them, so let's see if I can even find them to begin with. Okay, so far this year, I've paused 4 books. I intend to get back to one of them because I've read it before. I did pause my reread of Nona the Ninth by Tamsin Muir, and I paused it even though I love the Locked Tomb trilogy, or series, we'll see, so much. I paused my reread for a couple of reasons. One, I reread the series in conjunction with a recap spoiler podcast, and the spoiler podcast has not finished doing Nona yet, and they are posting episodes really slow. And I was very quickly going to catch up to the point where I didn't have any new episodes to listen to. And also, we have no news for book 4. Are we going to get book 4? Who knows? I really want Electo to come out, but like there's nothing. It's been pushed back so many times. There's not even an estimated release date. There's not a cover. There's no news about when the 4th book is going to come out. And so I just paused it. I'll come back to it eventually, probably when that podcast has finished out their Nona season, and then I'll finish it, and then I can wait for book 4 to come out if it ever comes out. But I just have to read. I read so slowly when I do these rereads of this series with the podcast that it was taking such a long time, which is fine. But considering the podcast wasn't finished yet, I was like, we'll just pause it. The other one I paused at 41%. I'm gonna have to start over. Oh, I paused Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer, maybe. And this is romantasy about a woman who gets a job being assistant to the villain that lives near her village. And I had such a fun time with this at the beginning. I was enjoying it so much. And why did I pause it? I think I decided I wanted to listen to it on audio or to get a physical. I think I was reading it on my e-reader, and I'm notoriously a very slow e-reader, and I wanted a different format for it, and I've just never gotten around to getting a different format of this book. And now I think I'm going to have to restart it because I don't remember what happened. Whoopsie daisies. But I was having a real good time. So hopefully I will circle back around to it and continue to have a real good time. But I think I am going to have to restart this. I also, very recently, like beginning of July, paused A Far Better Thing by H.G. Perry. Y'all, why do I think H.G. Perry is going to be my new favorite author? I have nothing to base this on. I have DNF'd one of her books, but I am just like convinced every time I read one of her synopses that she is going to be my new favorite author. And I really thought that this book was going to be it. And I don't know that it's going to be. But this is a Tale of Two Cities retelling where Sidney Carton is a child. Well, he's grown, but he's a child that the fairies had stolen and now works for them. And I think this is like a revenge plot against the changeling that replaced him. But it is, as far as I know, at 16% in, which is how far I got when I paused, it is a beat-for-beat retelling of A Tale of Two Cities, just with the lens like changed and a little bit of magic thrown in. And I learned this year that I tend to find beat-for-beat, plot-for-plot point retellings of stories to not be very interesting for me. And so but I don't want to DNF another one of her books. Also, the publisher sent me this and I asked for it because I was so excited, and I feel bad actually DNFing it. So it's on a pause, and I feel like maybe it will be a better fall book than a summer book, you know? So fingers crossed. I don't want to DNF it. I want to love it, but I just don't know if that's in the cards. And then the last book I have paused is A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon, which is technically not paused. I'm kind of picking it up and putting it down, but I haven't fully committed to it. I pulled it from my TBR jar for July, and I told myself, you know, there's 800 pages or something like that. And I was like, okay, if I read 50 pages a day and I start on like the 14th of July, I will finish it by the end of the month. And then I didn't even get to a full 50 pages. I think I got like 30 pages, and I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I making this homework? I want to like this book. I want to have a good time. I don't want to have it feel like assigned reading. So why am I doing this? So I paused it. Since then, because I paused it, I think on like a week ago. Since then, I have gotten the ebook for it from my library, which helps because I have the hardcover, and the hardcover is not comfortable to hold or to read. I can't read it in bed at night because of how heavy and cumbersome it is, and it's too heavy to like bring with me as I'm out and about chauffeuring my children to all their summertime activities, so it's not easily portable. But the ebook, granted, yes, I am a very slow e-reader, but these chapters are short, and I'm not trying to like sprint my way through this book. Like, it's okay if it takes some time. I'm okay with rolling this book over into August. I might unpause it in the next couple of days if I continue to make some momentum, because so far I've only read one more chapter since getting it on ebook from the library. So I don't know that I really want to unpause it yet. I don't want to like commit to that, but I am attempting to make some more progress. So fingers crossed for me. So yeah, those are all the books that I have DNF'd so far in 2025. We'll see how the rest of the year goes. I did say I wanted to be a lot more brutal about my DNFs. I don't know if I'm actually doing that, but the intention is there. Let me know what you have DNF'd so far this year. I'd love to know. If you want to leave an emoji to let me know you were here, let's do a stop sign emoji, or you like that red circle with the slash through, that one. Whatever emoji you feel like represents a DNF. Let's do that. And like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Bye!